What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, oh boy, do we have an update here. So if you remember, it was about almost a full month ago today we got the first news reports that Dave Franco and Alison Brie's body horror film Together, after getting some really good reviews at the some various film festivals earlier this year. Soon after that, we got news it was getting they were actually both getting sued for copyright issues, that they had stolen the idea for this film from somebody else. After that report, everything went quiet. We weren't hearing much of anything as far as the lawsuit goes. Now the film was still moving along, right? It was going to get released. I can't remember if this was actually going, I think this was getting a full theatrical release at some point, but again, it just kept moving along. The story really went away after that point. It was only like a day or two of articles about the lawsuit, but here we are. We have an update about a month later. As you see, Dave Franco, Alison Brie's Together, lawyer slams plagiarism suit. These films are not remotely similar. So we're going to jump into this article, just see, we might cherry pick a little bit of this, just to see what new information we have as far as the lawsuit goes. Again, it's been about a month since we've heard anything about this. So if you didn't know about the lawsuit, go into our horror news playlist. Go again, about a month ago, around the May 14th, May 15th is when we would have first reported on this. And again, nothing was stopping them from moving forward with the film as far as selling it, releasing it more broadly. And usually, and I'm not sure if that usually is the case. Usually when a copyright lawsuit comes up, I don't know if it's just, hey, until you can prove your case, they're going to keep, we're going to let them continue moving forward, which I think would typically happen unless there's enough evidence up front for, I'm sure, for any judge to say, wait a minute, you guys need to hold back. So let's jump into these article details here. The team behind the Alison Brie and Dave Franco film Together are pushing back on a copyright lawsuit, saying the film is not remotely similar to the plaintiff's work, The Better Half, which is the film that the individuals who are suing are saying that's where Alison and Dave stole the ideas from. Together was a hit at Sundance in January, selling to Neon for a reported $17 million. It is set to be released in theaters on July 3rd. So yeah, okay, this was getting a full theatrical release. I wasn't sure if it was in fact getting one, or if it was getting like that same song and dance we're seeing, where things are getting limited releases and then dropping on VOD digital the same day. But I think this one was going to get its full theatrical run, which I think for horror films, it seems like this year, outside of Sinners, I think Sinners was an anomaly, which stood in theaters for well over 2 months, and actually even got put back in theaters specifically just for IMAX showings, which was a very limited showings of those and sold out very quickly. Other than that, most of the big budget horror films that have come out this year only stayed in theaters for roughly 3.5 weeks before they got pulled, and then soon hit digital VOD, and then very soon after that hit streaming. So we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. The producers of Better Half sued in May. Okay, so that, as I was mentioning, we did our report in mid-May, so it would have been right around that same time, claiming that Together is a blatant ripoff of their film, which they claimed had been offered to Brie and Franco in 2020, and which their agent had turned down. Both projects involve a couple that become physically stuck to each other through a mysterious force. Now, I'm just based on that alone, and taking this for face value, one would think, again, an outsider looking in, seeing that again for face value, you would think, wait a minute, this seems a little, maybe we have an issue here. Maybe we have some copyright, things going on here, where 5 years ago you were offered a film called Better Half. Your film is now called Together, and the foundation of the film is a couple who are physically stuck together by a mysterious force, right? So come on. The things are starting to line up here, where I think there could be a possibility that this film Better Half may have had some influence, at least a little bit. I'm not saying significant enough to say you outright stole the idea, but again, face value, how can you really say that you came up with this idea all on your own, right? All right, so let's keep going. Let's see if it says anything further. In a May 21st letter to the plaintiffs, lawyers obtained by Variety, attorney Nicholas Jempol argued that Together was independently created and that any similarities are generic and not subject to copyright protection. Quote, your client does not own this concept, Jempol wrote. Quote, neither do our clients. It is an unprotectable idea, one that predates all our clients and has been explored in many films, television shows, and other fictional works. Jempol goes on to argue that the two films explore the idea in very different ways. Better Half is a light and comedic, is light and comedic, he said, while Together is a supernatural body horror thriller. Together is the opposite of Better Half in almost every way, he wrote. He also noted that Together screenwriter Michael Shanks had completed a draft and registered it with the WGA in 2019, a year before Better Half was offered to Brie and Franco's agent at WME. All right, so that's some interesting information. So, and not knowing what, and we don't know, obviously, what the script for this film Together looked like back in 2019 versus what's being shown today, right? I'm just putting this out there. And this isn't me being conspiracy theory. What are the odds that the script gets written, gets put out there, gets registered, but then Franco and Brie get offered this role. They read the script, they read the content, they turn it down, and then they come across, this film Together and they say, oh, let's make all these changes to it. Now, I think the smoking gun here would be if much of this was if the premise and much of the foundation was laid out in what was registered in 2019, prior to Better Half and prior to Brie and Franco's agents even being offered that Better Half film, then I think it's a stronger case to say, hey, as I mentioned above, these are open ideas. This isn't the first time this has been done in any type of cinema. So you can't really say there's a copyright issue here. All right, so let's continue. Before your client ever submitted a script to WME, Mr. Shanks already had written most of the elements your client now accuses him of stealing, Jempol wrote. The simple truth is that none of our clients copied a thing from Better Half. Better Half by writer-director Patrick Henry Phelan was released in 2023. The producers Jess Jenklin and Charles Beale attended Sundance and watched together in stunned silence their worst nightmare unfolding, their lawsuit alleges. Scene after scene confirmed that defendants did not simply take stock ideas or scenes fair, but stole virtually every unique aspect of Better Half's copyright expression, the suit alleges. Among other similarities, the lawsuit notes that both films referenced the Spice Girls and Plato's Symposium. So what? I mean, so you can't really say that any film or TV show or anything that references both of those. I mean, I think that's very, very weak. I don't think that's any ground to stand on, let alone weak ground to stand on. And side note, Spice Girls are freaking awesome. Just putting that out there. But you can't. I don't think that's anything that you can put your copyright lawsuit based on. Is the fact that they use or reference the Spice Girls song, and so did we, right? That's just nonsense. Jempol responded that such references are not surprising. The Spice Girls debut album included the song "Two Become One," great song, and that the coincidence is unprotectable. I would agree. Again, it's one of those songs again that could be used for various different reasons. And in this case, two people that become stuck together through a body horror film would make sense to use a song like that. If you have ever heard the song, you'd understand. Daniel Miller, the plaintiff's attorney, said that the claim borders on the ridiculous in a June 9th response to Jempol's letter. Miller also argued that both films have eerily similar sequences in which the protagonists are attached at the genitals and have to hide from a romantic interest outside the bathroom. We are confident, quote, a jury will see this sequence for what it is, a replication of Better Half's original expression. But I don't know. So far, everything we've read that we're finding out that's in this lawsuit seems very, I don't want to say baseless, but anyone can come up with those ideas and put it in a movie, in a horror film, in a comedy, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, that's like saying if you look across like action movies, like Rambo or the Terminator, when you think about 80s, 90s, action films, Die Hard, they didn't come up with the fact of explosions or gun battles, things of that nature, right? And then if you think about all subsequent movies that have had those types of things since then, are you going to say, well, they had a gun battle in a jungle and it was very similar to what we did in Predator? And it's like if you look at Predator and then Rambo 2, both vast majority of it takes place in a jungle. There's gun battles, there's explosions. Are we saying one ripped off the other, right? Because of those I think high level things? No, it's just a generalization, general idea that anyone can come up with and use. So I don't think it's copyright protected. Let's move on. Miller asked for evidence to back up the defendant's claim of independent creation, including the screenplay draft registered with the WGA and subsequent drafts. Quote, the defendants in this case are doing their very best to explain away the unexplainable, but the evidence speaks for itself, Miller said in a statement to Variety. It is telling that they have refused to share the prior script they claim was registered in 2019. We look forward to sharing with the court why there is no plausible explanation for the staggering similarities between these two works. Okay, now that's a problem. I mean, if you did in fact register your script for this idea back in 2019 ahead of Better Half, and you're the one being sued for stealing the idea, why not just, you would think they could just go right to, what was it, WME or whatever it was called, or WGA, and just say, hey, can you confirm, rather than going to the defendant, can't you just go to them and say, hey, can you confirm the defendant in this case did in fact register this script at this time period? Yes, okay. And you would think, and I'm sure they'd be able to subpoena those records and a copy of that script to say what it, we're going to subpoena a copy of it, see what it is, and see, if we have a situation here. Rather than waiting on the defendant to provide it, just subpoena it. I don't understand. I'm not a law professor. I'm not a lawyer, but just basic knowledge would tell me they should be able to subpoena that. Let's move on. In this letter, Japol urged the plaintiffs to drop the lawsuit, warning that if they pursue it further, the defendants will seek compensation for their attorney's fees, as they should. I absolutely think they should. I don't think that should go without saying. You're going to sue me. I'm going to sue you back for attorney fees. So if in fact we win, then you're going to pay the fees. I don't think it should be, hey, drop the lawsuit and we'll call it even. No, whether you drop the lawsuit or not, I'm going to come at you for my fees because my time's worth money. I think, so no pro quo here. Quick pro quo here. No, thank you. Accusing people of copyright infringement, especially ones who have dedicated their lives to creating original works and performances, should not be done lightly. Japol wrote, this is particularly true when works are as obvious dissimilar as these. Japol declined to comment, as did spokesperson for Neon and WME. Spokespeople for Franco, Brie, and Shanks did not respond to. And of course, Franco and Brie aren't going to respond. They're going to leave it to their lawyers to handle it. They're not going to get involved. At the end of the day, the film's already been sold. I'm sure they've already made their money off of it. Now it's going to boil down to Neon, right? Whether Neon can move forward with releasing the film in July or not, if they'll lose the rights to do so. Otherwise, I think Franco and Brie are kind of out of it. I think they're only involved in a lawsuit because they're in the film, and the lawsuit claims that they were offered Better Half originally, and that might be the only other reason why they're involved in the film. And I think they might have been part creators of it, so maybe that's again why they're more further involved in this than you would think. But it's already been sold to Neon, so I'd imagine on some level Neon would be the one holding the bag, so to speak. If they were to lose, they would want to be taking the hit and the loss. I don't think Neon then would come after Franco and Brie. But again, I'm not a lawyer, not a law professor, not sure how all that works out. But based on what we've read here, taking it for face value, I don't see this playing out. I think the biggest piece of the puzzle here is going to be the fact that they're saying, and if we scroll back up, it was towards the beginning right here. You also know that Together screenwriter Michael Shanks had completed a draft and registered it with the WGA in 2019, a year before Better Half. I think that's going to be the key here. That's going to be the key to this lawsuit, to say whether or not Brie and Franco, took the idea from Better Half, took the idea from those creators and used it for Together. Again, if they're so hell bent on saying this lawsuit is frivolous, it's baseless, then you should have no problem providing the evidence from this submission, this registration, to WGA in 2019 for this script that you did for Together. That would absolutely squash the whole thing. So not sure what the holdup on that is. All right, so that's going to do it for this horror news update. That's the latest we have on the copyright lawsuit for the body horror film Together with Dave Franco and Alison Brie. Again, currently owned by Neon, still supposed to come out. I think July, mid-July, late July, July 30th. So hopefully we'll still see this film unless this lawsuit takes a turn and it doesn't go in their favor and somehow the creators of Better Half win this one out. And then this film, I mean, who knows if this film would even see the light of day beyond what it's already been seen at the recent film festivals earlier this year. So drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Do you think the creators of Better Half have foundation? Do you think they have a lawsuit here? Or do you think, based on the information that we have in front of us, it doesn't sound like they do, and they'd be better off just, you know, taking the L and moving on? So again, let us know in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.